Howdy guys, the Comics Kid 2099 here, and I want to talk to you about X-Files Season 3. I don't have this season on DVD, but I have been watching it on Netflix, and you can too if you don't have it on DVD. And I have been hearing a lot of people, as I was slowly churning through the first two seasons, I have been hearing a lot of people say that Season 3 is really where this series clicks. And I don't want to go so far as to say that it finally becomes a good show, but I do think that it becomes much better than what it was in seasons 1 and 2. Right off the bat, this season has some of the most enjoyable episodes of the entire series. Episodes like Clyde Bruckman's Final Repose, Syzygy, War of the Coprophages, and Josie Chung's From Outer Space. Those have been some of my favorite episodes of the series, and incidentally, they are also some of the most humorous episodes of the series. And while I was watching this season, and every time we would get kind of a funny episode like those that we got, and I don't want to say that they're just like knee slappers, because at least a couple of them, they kind of have mellow endings, even though like 80% of the episode is also pretty chuckle-worthy. But while I was watching these episodes, I was realizing if this entire series had had this level of humor and levity throughout the entire series, it would not have taken me nearly as long to start watching this series. Because if you'll recall, from my review of Season 1, I said that there was it took me like 3 times to get through Season 1. I watched the first season and I just hated it, and then I tried watching Season 1 again several years later, got maybe 6 episodes in, and then finally I was able to go through it again and then jump into Season 2. And this season, it's a lot funnier than those first 2 seasons, and Mulder, he's always kind of sort of been your source of humor in this show, but by humor, what I really mean is he has very dry lines. He will see something happen, and then he'll have a very dry response to it, but it's usually just oh, that's kind of funny. It's not really oh wow, this is some really clever, really hilarious stuff, and I really feel like we got a lot of that in Season 3, and I really wish that this entire series had been more along those lines. It's okay to have serious episodes, but when everything in this series is just so depressing and just so dull, and there's never a laugh in some of these episodes, it makes it really difficult to watch this series. And I really wish that this entire series had been along the lines of some of these episodes. That's not to say that Season 3 is perfect. This season is still dragging on the whole Scully is reluctant to believe in the supernatural element of the show, which by this point, every time Scully starts to pull that crap of, well, we don't actually have any evidence that there's any alien activity here, I always want to pull my hair out and scream. Especially when there's one episode in this season, and I cannot remember which one it was, she's talking about how unlikely alien visitations even are, and that made me want to scream, because in the Season 2 finale, Scully actually sees alien beings. There's like 50 of them, and they run past her at one point. It's in the Season 2 finale. Of course, that was a 3-part episode. It was the last 2 episodes of Season 2 and the first episode of Season 4, but it was a 3-part episode, and she sees alien beings, and then she's in this season, no wait, it's the last 2 episodes of Season 2 and the first episode of Season 3, my mistake. She sees alien beings, and then she's over here saying, well, aliens probably don't exist, and that makes me want to scream, and it's like, why is she still the skeptic? She should have stopped being the skeptic at the end of Season 1 when she actually sees an alien fetus, and it is mind-boggling that this show wants to keep the status quo of one of them is a believer, one of them is a skeptic, and it's fine if you want Scully to continue to be wary of these paranormal things. If they go to some town and Mulder says, okay, it's this living bacteria that possesses people and forces them to kill everyone that they see, and Scully's like, are you sure? You kind of just pulled that out of your butt. And then it turns out that Mulder's right, because he's always right about these things, even though he has no evidence to support his claims. Then she can be like, okay, I believe in this weird serial killer living bacteria thing now. I didn't before, but now I do. That would be fine. But the problem with this series is that here we are now, we've had 3 seasons of this show, I think the whole series lasted 9 seasons, and Scully is still a skeptic, and it makes absolutely no sense for her character to still be a skeptic at this point in the series. And the longer they're going to try and drag this out, and I've watched just a couple of episodes of Season 4, and I know that they're still doing that in Season 4, the longer they try to drag this out, the more of an idiot that Scully is going to appear to be. And I was talking about in one of my reviews for either Season 1 or Season 2 that Mulder kind of comes across as an idiot a lot of times, because he'll say, you know, I think it's a vampire, or I think that it's a ghost, or I think that it's something, a flesh-eating worm from outer space. I think it's something like that. And he'll say that it's something, and he doesn't actually have any evidence to back this up, but then it ends up being that thing. Meanwhile, Scully is actually going about this the right way. She's looking for evidence to support her claim, or support Mulder's claim, as the case may be. She's actually doing her job. The problem is, she looks like a moron every time she says, I don't really believe in alien activity, even though she knows that she's been abducted. Now, maybe she thinks that it's the government, because just like alien activity, she has seen hard evidence that the government is up to no good. And yet, later episodes, she says, not everything is connected to government conspiracies, Mulder. Well, there are government conspiracies, and you're being very blasé about all of that. This season, it's really putting into contrast just how much of an idiot Scully is, and how much of an idiot anyone who thought that they should keep this character dynamic going really is. At this point in the series, after Scully has straight up seen living aliens run past her, she really should become more than the skeptic. She really should have evolved beyond her character archetype that she was in the beginning of season 1. And I don't mind character evolution. I don't mind characters changing and growing over time. And when you watch these seasons, it really becomes clear that the people working on the show, they were very against character evolution and character growth, because Scully is a character who refuses to change, even though she's been in situations that are completely impossible to deny, completely impossible to debunk, and yet she's over here saying, I don't really think the aliens exist. And I've spent way too much of this video complaining about this, but it becomes more and more frustrating the further you get into the series, or at least for me it does. Maybe you're one of those people, you just want to jump around from episode to episode. Maybe you don't even care about the overall series arc. Maybe you care more about the Monster of the Week episodes. And if that's the case, then you're really going to love Season 3. And I'm getting to where I'm caring less and less about the Myth arc episodes, or the Mythology episodes, whatever you want to call them. I'm getting to where I want to just skip those episodes and just watch Monster of the Week. But I think I would probably do that after I've seen the whole series. I really want to, after I've seen the whole series once, go back and just watch the Mythology episodes and skip all of the Monster of the Week episodes, just to see how much does this whole mythology that they're allegedly building up to some kind of payoff, how well does that actually hold together? And I say allegedly because it's been 3 seasons now, and I don't feel like any questions have been answered. We still don't know where Fox's sister is. We still don't really know anything about the bad guys of this series. We know that they are somehow allied with aliens based on the season 3 finale, but it shouldn't take 3 entire seasons to get one maybe answer for all these questions that this show has been putting out there. And I really don't think that this series is ever going to answer any of these questions. I'm more and more looking at the series, I'm very convinced that they're just going to keep dragging all this on, and they're not ever going to really provide any conclusions or any resolution to any of this stuff. And I remember a lot of people were really furious at Lost when that series ended, because it didn't answer the questions that they wanted answered. And I really can't imagine that these people would be very happy if they were watching X-Files, because this is much, much worse than Lost ever was. So that's all I have to say about X-Files Season 3. It's really hard to talk about these seasons without repeating yourself what you've said in the previous reviews of previous seasons. But I like this season a lot more than the first 2 seasons, and I am looking forward to watching more of this series. I just don't have very high hopes that it's going to have any kind of resolution or any kind of conclusion of any kind for this ongoing storyline about the alien government conspiracy thing that this show has been building up since the very beginning. That's really my main problem with this whole series. It's just, I don't feel like it's doing a very good job of building up this story that it's trying to make the audience think is a very important story. So that's all I have to say about X-Files Season 3. I hope that you guys liked this video. If you did, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I will be back later in the week with a different kind of video. So I'll see you guys then. Have a great rest of the day. Catch you later.